What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Puncher's Point. Strap in your seatbelts, all right? We got a sleeper of a fight right here. And I'm telling you guys, you click off this episode. If you decide that you're not going to listen, you're missing out. Subriel Matias versus Liam Paro. Now, obviously, if you guys have been keeping track of boxing, obviously, if you're keeping track of that 140-pound division, you'll know names like Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Pitbull Cruz, Rolly Romero. I mean, we can go on and on, Breezy. But the one name that I feel like not many of us talk about, Subriel Matias. And this is a guy that's I don't want to use the word feared, but he's a pretty intimidating force in that 140-pound division. Now, obviously, he hasn't fought at anybody high caliber yet. However, we're going to get a good fight. I'm telling you that right now. We're going to get a good fight between him and Liam Paro. Now, for those who don't know, Liam Paro, I mean, this is a very, very good fighter. We're talking 24-0, 15 knockouts. I mean, the guy is a very good fighter. Obviously, Subriel Matias, 100% knockout ratio. We don't got to talk much about him. He has one loss, and that one loss he avenged in his career. So, without further ado, Breezy, let's jump straight into it. I mean, let's start with Matias first. And for y'all who are thinking, oh, well, after the Matias breakdown, we're just going to leave. No, no, no. Strap in your seatbelts and stay for the whole ride because we got a good one for you guys today. Subriel Matias, I mean, when I look at this guy, what can't we say about him? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's got power in both hands. He's got a variety of different punches he can hit you with. The one thing about Subriel Matias, he's almost robotic, in a way. It's like when he throws those punches, they're pretty robotic. They're pretty straight to the point. They're crisp and everything like that. This guy never stops with the pressure. He's just walking you down the whole entire fight. And I mean, there's a reason why this guy has a 100% knockout ratio. A very unorthodox stance, but regardless of that, nobody's been able to figure it out except for one guy, and that one guy actually gave him a standing 8 count. And then I believe Subriel Matias ended up losing that fight. Now, when Subriel Matias got that rematch, it ended in a completely different story, Breezy. He hit him with a nice left hook, dropped him, let him know about it, walked back to the corner, and he ended up winning by knockout. So, Subriel Matias is no joke. You know what I'm saying? He's the IBF junior welterweight champion, and he seems like the one guy at the 140-pound division who hasn't gotten that big fight yet. Subriel Matias is a force. He is a guy that I feel like a lot of 140 pounders don't want to mess with. Now obviously there's been speculations about fights being made. I believe Devin Haney and the Haneys try to schedule a fight with him, and that ended up falling out. Obviously, Shakur Stevenson has expressed potentially fighting him, and he has expressed his respect for Subriel Matias. However, again, he has not gotten that big fight. And this isn't what you call a big fight. But let me tell you something about this fight. On paper, it might look like Subriel Matias gets another win, but if you go look at Liam Paro and you go look at his highlights, you go look at his fight, it's a completely different story, Breezy. I mean, this is a guy that can give Matias a lot of trouble. And I'm not saying that just to hype up this fight or to give views on an episode. I mean it. This is a guy that can give Matias a lot of trouble just by his style alone. Now, obviously, as far as weaknesses for Subriel Matias, he's kind of flat-footed. I feel like sometimes he has very bad days on defense. Now, don't get me wrong, nobody's perfect. However, with Subriel Matias, there's been times where I've seen him have good days on defense, very slick with his head movement. His footwork is okay. It's not the best, but there's been times when I've seen him, cover up, parry hooks, parry jabs, all that type of stuff, deflect hooks, defensively, there's been times where I've seen him and he's looked pretty solid. And then other times I'm looking and I'm like, gosh, this guy has no defense this game. This guy can not block a punch to save his life. He can't slip nothing to save his life. And it's kind of a matter of which Matias are you going to get. And I've seen him get into slugfest. And obviously, because Subriel Matias is such a dangerous puncher, he usually wins those slugfests. But the last thing I want to see this guy go through is another slugfest where he just keeps on getting hit and hit and hit. Because Liam Paro, even though he might not have that dangerous punching ability, Liam Paro can definitely pack a punch. He can definitely pop somebody if he needs to. We saw that with Montana Love. So what I will say as far as Subriel Matias is I think in this fight, what he needs to do, I think he needs to apply the pressure, get onto the inside, target that body, because that's one thing I almost forgot, Breezy. He's a very, very good body puncher. You know what I'm saying? He's dropped people without those body punches. He's tired guys with those body punches. He's a very, very good body puncher. I feel like if he can continue landing body punches to Liam Paro, I feel like Liam Paro could definitely get tired. And the fact that this is going to be in Puerto Rico, which is Matias's home country, I mean, he's got to deliver, man. He's got to deliver. And I feel like if he could just keep with those keys and he can slip the jab and counter the way Subriel Matias can, I mean, I think we're going to be seeing a classic Matias win in Puerto Rico. But you know what? Enough of me talking. You might have some different strengths and weaknesses with Matias. You might have some different keys to victory. So you know what, Breezy? Let's hear it.
I say this for his strengths. He does have fast hands. Like you mentioned, he has power in both of his hands. Not only that, too, but he has an awkward way of throwing his punches, right? So while he may sit right here and be in the inside, you may be expecting hooks and whatnot, but he may throw it one out of nowhere. He might throw a punch diagonal. Subriel Matias has a wild way of breaking you down. He has a wild way of connecting those punches. Now, look, like Mario said, he does have 100% KO percentage. So the saying goes, if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. But I say this, even with you having power, even with you being usually a threat or a boogeyman in the inside majority of the times, you know, I will say this about Subriel Matias, which Mario also pointed out. You don't know which Matias you go get, right? You don't know if you're going to get a defensive sound Subriel Matias or you're going to get a wild in the pocket, no defense type Matias. I say this about Matias. The problem with Matias is that, you know, he's gotten so used to slugging it out with guys to like that's almost his go-to. You don't want to ever make something so simple and so obvious to the opponent you're going to face. You got to have some kind of defensive gameplay. You got to have some kind of counter punch. And I'm not saying he don't counter punch, but you got to have some defense, you know, with the counter punch to kind of to make up for it too. You don't want to just have your offense being defensive all the time because who's to say he get in there with a guy like a Teofimo Lopez who has shown he does have power, who has shown he can stop guys and who can hang with guys, you know, sometimes at the top level. How do we not know that he get in the ring with guys who may have higher level power than him and might catch him? Stuff like that can always come back to bite you at any given time. So that's something I will say about Subriel Matias, alone to agree with Mario's point, is that his defense. You know, he's an inside fighter. It's almost really rare that you see him fight out on the outside. He's so inside type that you know he's like a brawler. You know how they say about the Mexican fighters? The Mexican fighters, they're going to walk you down, they're going to, break you down and whatnot. Subriel Matias, he's an in the pocket, break you down type fighter. And because he is, you don't really get to see him fight on the outside like that. You know, we don't get to really see him use that jab as well. And I'm not saying he don't have one. He does have a jab, but we don't really get to see it too much because he's so focused on the inside game. And when you focus on the inside game and then you don't have defense, and then that's the thing though, you can't just have your defense show up on certain nights, which he has shown in the past that he has his defense show up on certain nights, and some nights it don't. Not only that too, but he throws so wild and not wild, but he throws so crazy and he throws so fast that he damn near get himself off balance. I've seen times where like he'll throw so hard he damn near made himself do the 360. And I'm thinking the fighter did that, but that's how crazy he is in the inside. And that's not me trying to, hate and whatnot, but it's just the truth of the matter. So in this fight, I say this, right? You can't really do all now. Like I said, you do have power. But here's the thing, though: you can be very patiently at times. You can You can pick your shots apart. You go to the body. I see Matias go to the body a lot. Break Paro down. That's what you're gonna have to do. You don't want to just stay in the inside and you just want to try to slug it out because Paro has power too. Even though I'm not breaking him down now, but that's another point to his degree. But his weakness is this: he throws so fast and over the top too. He throws himself off balance, and sometimes he doesn't always brings that defensive Matias to the fight. But as far as his strengths, he does have fast hands. He does have a very nice snap hook. You see the way he snaps those hooks and whatnot, and he's coming back. He's coming with uppercuts. It's a snappy hook. It's a snappy uppercut. And if you don't see, here's the thing: if you can't hurt Matias, he's gonna sit in that paint with you the whole fight. Matias is gonna sit. If Matias realizes that there's nothing you can do to hurt him, he's gonna do all he can to hurt you. So that's my breakdown of Subriel Matias.
I like what you said about him being an inside fighter because, and you said he has kind of like that Mexican style, I believe. I compare it to like the 50s style, guys like James Braddock, guys like Rocky Marciano, and you think about all those old school fighters, the Jersey Joe Walcotts and the Jack Dempseys, you know, the Joe Lewises, all those types of guys. He's got that style where it's, look, me and you, we're gonna sit into this, we're gonna sit on the inside, we're gonna scrap and bang, and whichever one ends up falling is the one that ends up falling. But Subriel Matias, again, he does have defense. You know, it's not like he has no defense. There are times where I've seen him and he looks very slick and very sharp defensively, but he doesn't show it all the time. And it's kind of like a hit and miss. And you were absolutely right about how he just swings wildly and how he's a very at-risk puncher because it's high risk, high reward. And a lot of those times, hey, look, man, I mean, the guy's got 100% knockout ratio. I mean, look, high rewards, man, you know? So, but that there's also been times, again, that one loss where it was a high risk and it didn't pay off and he ended up getting a loss out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying this right now for somebody like Liam Paro, I mean, he could definitely take advantage of that. But let's get to Liam Paro, okay? Why do I feel like Liam Paro is a difficult matchup for Subriel Matias? Well, Liam Paro, in a way, is the complete opposite of Subriel Matias. Let me tell you something about Liam Paro. What I like about him is he has a very, very clean boxing stance. That is how he's opposite from Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias is very unorthodox. He's very unconventional with his stance. Liam Paro has a very clean boxing stance. It's clean. He knows how to use it well. The other thing too is he'll just stick you with that jab and he won't stop. I mean, when he hits guys with that jab, Breezy, it's like they got a flash grenade in their eyes. It's like they can't see it. It's like they're stunned for a little bit, and he sticks that jab too. That's what I like about it. He sticks it. When he hits them with a jab, he sticks it in their face, and it doesn't give these guys time to react. He has very, very good footwork. I think Liam Paro's footwork is off the charts. I think he's very quick with it. He's a guy who's very balanced as well. And I feel like when you have a guy who can control range, use his jab, and use his footwork, it's a very, very dangerous combination. And last but not least, he could go into the inside and he could batter you. He can go into the outside and he can batter you. The thing is with Liam Paro is this guy, he knows how to fight all different types of ways. And I feel like because this guy is so prepared for any specific fight style, Liam Paro's confidence is through the roof, and it should be because when you're able to prepare for any specific type of opponent, that gives you a huge advantage. Now, Liam Paro, just like Subriel Matias, has not gotten that big opportunity yet, but we see what he can do against high level competition like Montana Love. You know, Montana Love got outclassed in that fight, and I mean, Liam Paro was a big underdog. And Liam Paro went in there like he was the favorite, and he ended up beating Montana Love. He dropped him multiple times, and he ended up TKOing him. So Liam Paro is not a guy that we should be sleeping on at all. And I feel like with his style, the way he's able to fight, the way he's able to control the range, use his jab, use his footwork, also slip and counter, the way he's able to use his defense, because he's got very, very good defense, and that defense is always on. When I was looking at Liam Paro, I couldn't find a lot of weaknesses in his game. You know, I couldn't find it. He's very precise. He knows exactly when to hit you. And this guy is so precise, Breezy. This guy will throw 4 straight jabs at you without you even responding. And I think that's crazy. Or he'll throw 3 straight jabs and a hook. He has good body work, just like Subriel Matias. Maybe not as dominant as Subriel Matias when it comes to body work and pressure, but he's got good body work to where it can kind of tire you out, to where he can pick his moments and pick his shots. And I mean, you keep on racking up those body shots, it's going to get any man tired. Now, the weaknesses I saw with Liam Paro is when you get onto the inside of Liam Paro, when a fighter is able to pressure Liam Paro, he kind of loses those fundamentals. You know, he starts getting sloppy footwork on the inside. You know, he kind of starts lacking defense a little bit when he gets overwhelmed with that type of pressure. What I see with Montana Love, even though it wasn't his night, was Montana Love was doing really good at throwing that check hook. Every single time Liam Paro would go for a jab, there'd be moments where Montana Love would hit him with that check hook, and it would make Liam Paro think about throwing that jab again. And I feel like with a guy like Matias, who has a very dominant left hook, a very powerful hook, and very powerful counter punches, I mean, look, Breezy, all it takes is one of those punches to drop Liam Paro, you know? So I feel like that's something he's going to have to be very cautious of. Now, the keys to victory for Liam Paro, when you have your space, control the range, first of all. Number two, when you control the range, start using your jab. After that, I would say use your footwork. Your footwork has been working for you time after time again. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you hit him with those three punch combinations, you hit him with that jab on the inside, and then you use your footwork to back out. He's also very good at cutting angles. So when you go to cut those angles, make sure you do it after those three punch combinations. And last but not least, control the momentum. That's one thing that Liam Paro has been doing a very, very good job of him in a lot of his fights. I mean, the guy's undefeated. And again, we talk about if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, it ain't broke with him, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the guy's undefeated as well. The guy has a decent amount of knockouts. You know, he might not be as dangerous of a puncher as Subriel Matias, but the guy is dangerous. The guy is a very pure, perfect. I wouldn't say perfect. Excuse me. He's a very good pure boxer, and I feel like those guys are hard to come by these days. You know, so what I will say is, if Liam Paro can control the distance, stick Subriel Matias with that jab, hit him with some three punch combinations, and back out. I mean, look, Subriel Matias is going to have a hard time knocking a guy out that he can't hit. So those would be my keys to victory for Subriel Matias. Those would be my strengths and weaknesses, Breezy. And I'm going to pass that on to you. Let me know your thoughts on Liam Paro.
Very fast, very cordial, very accurate, very precise in his strikes. What I like about Liam Paro, and I almost forgot to mention this about Subriel Matias, is that when they get you up on the ropes, their attack to the body is relentless. It's precise. When they get you up on the ropes, they're pressuring you. They're making it an uncomfortable fight for you. Now, I say this about Liam Paro. He does have power in both of his hands. Oh, like the brother Mario mentioned, you know, his footwork, nice footwork. He has the complete boxing style, very opposite of a Subriel Matias, who's more so of a pressure, swing around, all around type fighter. I'll say this about Liam Paro. While he does have a nice flicky jab, I think sometimes he has a problem of overcommitting. And I've seen times where he'll try to put his like put his whole life into the jab. And he's almost been times where he's been countered. And I feel like for somebody like Subriel Matias, if you flick that jab, you're gonna have to flick that jab. You don't want to overcommit with the jab to the point where when you lean in too, you got a Subriel Matias snappy hook coming at you. Because like Mario said, at any given point, any one of those punches can hurt you. I feel like as far as anything else, there's not really too much to say about his weakness. You mean, like I say, he's very much accurate. It's just, like I said, for the most part, when I seen highlights of him, well, of course, if you go to his body too, that's another thing also. But as far as going to his body, the overcommitment to the jab, like I've seen times where like he'll literally dive into the jab, like he'll like put his whole body into the jab and like I said, you don't want to ever leave. This is a fight where no fighter can risk leaving their body or their face open. Okay, this is a fight where you're gonna have to be at your A+. Okay, don't leave yourself guarded. Don't leave your body unattended. Keep your guards up, because I'm telling you right now, this is one of those fights where either one of these guys can touch the canvas, because both of these guys possess power. But as far as Liam Paro, I say my breakdown is this: fast hands, nice footwork, great work on the ropes. It's just you overcommit to the jab, and I felt like if somebody's go down to their body enough, they'll begin to slow you down. But as far as I'm concerned, that is my breakdown of Liam Paro.
Disagree with you slightly. I like that he overcommits to the jab. Now, obviously, like you said, you can't be leaping in a jab and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all can't be throwing the Teofimo Lopez jump jab like it's Roman Reigns with a Superman punch. We can't be doing that. However, I do like that he overcommits with that jab because it sticks so well. And when it sticks so well, a lot of guys they don't respond to it. You know, it's kind of one of those unique jabs where you get hit with it and you kind of freeze. You know what I'm saying? Like when he hits somebody with a jab, they freeze and they don't know what to do with it. It's like a deer in a headlights. They just stop and they stay there and they don't react at all. And that's why I like his jab so much. It's different and it's also effective. But I do understand what you're saying by overcommitting to the jab, because if it only takes the right person to counterpunch you, and then That's it. And that could be Matias. With that being said, let's get to the odds. I mean, let's listen to these odds, Breezy. Subriel Matias, minus 950. That's the minus 950 favorite. Liam Paro plus 590 underdog. Now, if you want to keep it safe, you can go with Subriel Matias by knockout, which is minus 300. Now, if you want to play it a little risky, you can go Liam Paro by knockout at plus 1400. Now, obviously, the lowest odds would be the draw at plus 2400. However, those would be the two odds that I would look at. If you want to play it safe, Subriel Matias by knockout. If you want to kind of take a little risk with it, Liam Paro by knockout. With that being said, a lot of people don't think this fight is going to go past 7 rounds. They got the odds at plus 260. These are the highest odds, by the way, for Subriel Matias to win in the 7th round. With that being said, Breezy, give me your predictions. You taking the favorites? You want to get a little risky with it? What are we thinking here? Subriel Matias versus Liam Paro. How do you see this fight going, and what round if you have it as a knockout?
Subriel Matias with a ninth round TKO. But I don't want people to get things misconstrued. I think there's a great percentage that we may see Liam Paro drop Subriel Matias in the back and forth type fight. I don't want people to hear my prediction and think I'm counting out Liam Paro because I do believe Liam Paro does have a chance of KOing Subriel Matias. But I do think that as the rounds go on, you know, and like I said, Matias, he plays it smart for the most part. I feel like if Matias realizes that nothing that Paro throws at him can affect him, we're gonna see Matias all over him. Pause, no diddy, all right? But we're gonna see Subriel Matias. He gonna be in the pocket and he's gonna be dare to slug it out with him until Pyro decides to touch the ground, the refs come in, or his opponent throws a towel in. But I do believe, and I could be wrong. I don't care about being wrong. Okay, I do believe we will see Subriel Matias at least hurt or touch the canvas. I do believe we will see it, but I do believe in the all after a grueling back and forth fight, we'll see Subriel Matias pop out of nowhere with a crazy out of the blue windmill around the world type hand, and he's gonna get a TKO on Liam Paro. No disrespect to Liam Paro.
I'll make it up. I got Liam Paro defeating Subriel Matias for that IBF championship. I think it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen by knockout too. I think it's good. And don't get me wrong, I like Subriel Matias. I really like the guy. I think he's great. I think he's a very entertaining fighter if you put him on that big stage. But he's gotten hurt before by guys who weren't top competitions. I'm not saying that's the reason why I have him losing. The reason why I have him losing is because it's hard to knock out somebody that you can't hit. And Liam Paro is a guy that's hard to hit. And he's a guy that is not only hard to hit, but he's a guy who can hit you back. And he can also make it a tough fight. Liam Paro, he's not going to sit there and scrap and bang with him. Now, don't get me wrong. Subriel Matias can definitely hit him with a counterpunch and drop him and knock him out. I don't doubt that for a second. But you know what, as much as me, Breezy, when it comes to a power puncher going up against a boxer, if the boxer is outboxing the counter puncher, is outboxing the power puncher, it's really hard to rely on a counter. I mean, we seen it with like Deontay Wilder. It seems like we're always just looking for that one punch, and it could take one punch to knock your lights out. But if they don't get that one punch, it's not going to work out well. The reason why I got Liam Paro probably by 8th round knockout. That's the way I'm going to have it. Liam Paro by 8th round knockout. Is Liam Paro has fought on big stages before on DAZN. He's fought Montana Love. The guy is oozing with confidence. The guy is filled with confidence. And I mean, this is a big moment for Liam Paro. If he can go into Puerto Rico, Subriel Matias' home country, knock out Subriel Matias in front of his home country, and prove that the Montana Love fight was not just a good night, that it was Liam Paro, and that's what he's all about, is making upsets happen. This guy's going to be skyrocketed into that 140-pound division. I think he's going to get those big fights, those guys like Devin Haney, those guys like Teofimo Lopez, those guys like Pitbull Cruz. I think he's going to get those fights. Maybe Ryan Garcia. And I think he's going to do it against Subriel Matias. So I'm going to go with the underdog. I'm gonna go Liam Paro 8th round knockout. Now, this ain't me calling Subriel Matias a bum. And this isn't Breezy calling Liam Paro a bum. Again, we think this fight is a sleeper. We think this is going to be one of the most exciting fights of the year. Obviously, the hype might not be as big. Very little people are talking about this fight, Breezy, but obviously you got that whole boxing week and they do the whole media workouts and everything like that. And I'm hoping something heats up to where this fight gets a little bit more publicity. But this is a sleeper for one of the most underrated fights of the year, and I can't wait to see it, man. With that being said, Breezy, how about you close out this episode? We're going to see who's right come June 15th in Puerto Rico for that IBF title. But until then, Breezy, the only thing we can do is close it out. So I'm going to let you go do that.
June 15th, you know the deal. Subriel Matias versus Liam Paro. Post reactions after the fight board by yours truly, Breezy and Mario. Make sure y'all stay tuned with the Instagram. Make sure y'all stay tuned in with the X. Make sure y'all stay tuned in. Look out for fight updates. Look out for fight predictions, fight schedulings, all kinds of announcements. Look out for, because we here every week. We posting every week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and some Saturdays. Y'all know the motto, the Punchers Point, we here. Make sure y'all stay tuned in for next week because we got Tank Davis versus Frank Martin. Make sure y'all be on the lookout for the post-fight reaction to that one. Y'all know what the deal is. It's the Punchers Point. Stay on point with the Punchers Point.